The mining station, Titan's Rest, floated silently in the asteroid belt, its massive drilling arms reaching out like metal tentacles into the dark void. Engineer Marcus Webb checked his toolkit one final time before heading to the communications array. The distress signal had been coming through broken and unclear for 3 days now, and Command wanted it fixed immediately. Marcus walked through the narrow corridors of the station, his boots echoing against the metal flooring. The artificial gravity generators hummed quietly beneath his feet, keeping everything stable despite the station's slow rotation around the largest asteroid in the belt. He had been working on Titan's Rest for 2 years, and he knew every pipe, every wire, every hidden corner of the facility. The communications deck was empty when he arrived. The main console flickered with warning lights, and static filled the air from the speakers. Marcus set down his tools and began running diagnostics on the primary receiver array. The readings were strange, showing signal patterns he had never seen before. "Computer, analyze incoming transmission," he said to the station's AI system. "Analysis complete," the artificial voice replied. "Signal origin unknown. Language patterns do not match any known human dialects or communication protocols." Marcus frowned. That was impossible. There were no alien civilizations in this sector, at least none that had ever made contact with humans. He adjusted the frequency settings, trying to clear up the static. Slowly, a voice emerged from the noise. "Help us," the voice said in broken English. "Our ship ... dying. We carry important message for humans." Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. This was first contact, the moment every human had dreamed about since the species first looked up at the stars. He quickly activated the recording systems and opened a communication channel. "This is Engineer Marcus Webb of Mining Station Titan's Rest," he said carefully. "We received your distress call. What is your location?" The response came after a long pause filled with interference. "We are ... close, very close. Our ship is damaged. We need ... safe place to land." Marcus checked the station's external sensors. Nothing showed up on the displays, but the asteroid belt was full of interference from the mining operations. A small ship could easily hide among the floating rocks. "I'm sending you our docking bay coordinates," Marcus said. "But I should warn you, this is just a mining station. We don't have medical facilities, or we understand," the alien voice interrupted. "We only need ... safe harbor. What we carry. Very important for your people." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Something in the alien's voice suggested urgency, even fear. He made a decision that would change everything. "Docking Bay 7 is clear. I'm opening the bay doors now." The next hour passed slowly. Marcus waited in the docking bay, watching through the transparent aluminum windows as a small, sleek ship emerged from the asteroid field. The vessel was unlike anything he had ever seen, its hull seeming to shift and flow like liquid metal. No visible engines or weapon systems, just smooth curves that reflected the light from Titan's Rest. The ship settled gently onto the docking platform with barely a sound. Marcus activated the atmospheric systems, filling the bay with breathable air. His hands shook slightly as he waited for the ship's occupant to emerge. The vessel's hull simply opened, like a flower blooming, revealing a figure that took Marcus's breath away. The alien was tall and graceful, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly in the bay's lights. Her features were delicate, but clearly non-human, with large, dark eyes and hair that moved as if floating in water. She wore a simple, form-fitting suit that appeared to be made of the same material as her ship. In her hands, she carried a small, crystalline device that pulsed with inner light. "I am Zara of the Ethereal Collective," she said, her voice melodic and clear now that she was speaking in person. "I thank you for offering sanctuary, Marcus Webb." Marcus realized his mouth was hanging open and quickly closed it. "How do you know my name?" "We have been monitoring your communications for some time," Zara replied. "We know much about humanity, though this is our first direct contact." "Why now?" Marcus asked. "Why reveal yourselves?" Zara's expression grew grave. "Because your species is in terrible danger, and you do not even know it." She held up the crystalline device, and Marcus could see complex patterns of light moving. Within it, "This contains information that could save your civilization, but it could also destroy it if it falls into the wrong hands." "What kind of information?" "The location of the Omega signal," Zara said quietly. "A transmission of incredible power that will reach Earth in exactly 72 hours. When it arrives, it will change everything." Marcus felt the weight of her words. "Change everything how?" "The signal carries a virus, Marcus. Not a biological virus, but something far worse. It will infect every computer system, every AI, every digital device on your planet. Within hours of its arrival, human technology will no longer belong to humans." The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. Earth's entire civilization depended on technology. If every computer system was compromised, billions would die within days. "Who's sending this signal?" he asked. "An ancient enemy," Zara replied. "A race that calls itself the collective mind. They seek to absorb other civilizations, to add their knowledge and resources to their own. They have already consumed dozens of worlds." Marcus stared at the crystal in her hands. "And that device can stop them?" "It contains the only known countervirus, developed by the last survivors of a world called Kepler Prime. But creating the countersignal requires enormous power and precise timing. It must be transmitted from Earth's most powerful communication array at the exact moment the Omega signal arrives." "Why are you helping us?" Marcus asked. "What do you get out of this?" Zara smiled sadly. "My people believe in freedom, Marcus. We have hidden from the collective mind for centuries, but we cannot hide forever. If they succeed in conquering Earth, they will have access to human ingenuity and determination. Combined with their existing knowledge, they would become unstoppable." Marcus looked around the docking bay, thinking of his fellow miners, of the billions of people on Earth who had no idea what was coming. "What do you need me to do?" "Help me reach Earth," Zara said. "My ship is damaged and cannot make the journey alone. But if we work together, if we combine human engineering with ethereal technology, we might be able to save both our civilizations." Marcus made his decision without hesitation. "Then let's get started." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Marcus worked alongside Zara to repair her ship, marveling at the advanced technology that seemed to respond to thought as much as touch. The ethereal systems were completely organic, growing and adapting rather than being built. "Your people have great potential," Zara observed as they worked. "Most species would have panicked or refused to believe. But you immediately began looking for solutions." "That's what humans do," Marcus replied, adjusting a power coupling. "When faced with the impossible, we find a way to make it possible." As the repairs neared completion, Marcus received an unexpected communication from the station's command center. "Webb, what's going on down there?" "We're reading strange energy signatures from Docking Bay 7. Marcus looked at Zara, who nodded. Grimly, "They've been monitoring us," she said. "The collective mind has agents everywhere, even among your own people." "How is that possible?" Marcus asked. "They send advanced scouts, beings who appear human, but are actually synthetic constructs. They infiltrate key positions and wait for orders." The communication system crackled again. "Webb, respond immediately. Security teams are en route to your location." Marcus felt a surge of determination. "Then we leave now." Zara's ship was ready, its hull shimmering with renewed energy. Marcus grabbed his emergency kit and followed the alien aboard her vessel. The interior was unlike anything he had ever seen, all flowing curves and soft, organic surfaces that seemed alive. "Hold on," Zara said as she interfaced with the ship's control systems. "This might be uncomfortable for a human." The ship lifted, off with impossible smoothness, passing through the docking bay doors just as armed security personnel entered the bay. Marcus watched through the ship's transparent hull as Titan's Rest fell away behind them. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To gather allies," Zara replied. "If we're going to save Earth, we'll need more than just the two of us." As they flew toward the inner solar system, Marcus couldn't help but marvel at the view. Stars streaked past, like silver threads, and he could see the distant glow of Earth growing brighter ahead. "Zara," he said, "what if we fail?" The alien woman turned to look at him, her dark eyes reflecting the starlight. "Then both our species will fall to the collective mind. But I have faith in human ingenuity, Marcus Webb. Your people have a gift for achieving the impossible." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Somewhere ahead lay Earth, unaware of the danger approaching. And somewhere behind them, the collective mind's agents were probably already mobilizing to stop them. But as he watched Zara pilot her incredible ship through the void, Marcus felt something he hadn't expected: hope. Humans had always risen to meet impossible challenges. This would be no different. The race to save Earth had begun. Zara's ship moved through space like a living thing, its hull rippling and flowing as it navigated the asteroid field surrounding Mars. Marcus watched in amazement as the vessel seemed to dance between floating rocks that would have destroyed any human spacecraft. "There," Zara said, pointing to what appeared to be just another asteroid. "Our destination." Marcus squinted at the rocky surface. "I don't see anything. You will." As they approached, the asteroid's surface began to shimmer and fade, revealing a massive structure hidden beneath a holographic disguise. The colony was built into a hollowed-out asteroid, its interior glowing with warm, golden light. "How long has this been here?" Marcus asked in amazement. 50 Earth years, Zara replied. "A joint venture between the ethereal collective and other free species. We call it Haven Station." The ship slipped through an opening that sealed itself behind them, and Marcus found himself in a docking bay unlike anything he had ever imagined. Beings of different species worked together, their ships ranging from crystalline vessels like Zara's to mechanical contraptions that looked like they belonged in a museum. As they disembarked, Marcus was struck by the diversity of the colony's inhabitants. There were beings of pure energy who communicated through light patterns, silicon-based creatures that looked like living rocks, and others so alien that Marcus could barely comprehend their forms. "Welcome to Haven Station," said a voice behind them. Marcus turned to see a humanoid figure approaching. At first glance, the being looked almost human, but his skin had a metallic sheen and his eyes glowed with inner fire. "Marcus, this is Commander Thane of the Liberation Front," Zara said. His people were one of the first to escape the collective mind. Thane extended a hand, and Marcus shook it, surprised by the warmth of the alien's grip. "We've been monitoring the situation around Earth," Thane said. "The Omega signal is already detectable on our long-range sensors." "How long do we have?" Marcus asked. 68 hours and 17 minutes, Thane replied precisely. "But there's a complication. The collective mind has activated sleeper agents throughout your solar system. They're moving to prevent any interference with their plan." Zara's expression darkened. "How many agents?" "At least 3 dozen that we've detected. They've infiltrated Earth's defense networks, the Mars colonies, and even some of the deep space stations." Marcus felt a chill. "What about Titan's Rest?" "My crew, already compromised," Thane said gently. The station was seized 30 minutes after your departure. The official story is a containment breach, but we know the truth." Marcus closed his eyes, thinking of his fellow miners. They were good people who had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. "We have to stop this." "That's why you're here," said another voice. Marcus turned to see a being that defied description. It appeared to be made of living crystal, constantly shifting and changing shape, with a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "I am Nexus," the being said. "I coordinate the technical aspects of our resistance." Nexus was once a collective mind construct, Zara explained. But he broke free and retained all their technical knowledge. "The countervirus you carry," Nexus said to Zara, "it will require modification to work against the current Omega signal. Variant, the collective mind has updated their attack protocol." Zara handed over the crystalline device. "Can you make the necessary changes?" "Given time, yes. But we face another problem. The transmission must originate from Earth's most powerful communication array, and that facility is now under collective mind control." Marcus felt a spark of hope. "Not necessarily. There's another option." All eyes turned to him. "The Arecibo." Array was rebuilt 5 years ago with quantum enhancement technology. It's actually more powerful than the primary Earth communication center, but it's considered a research facility, not a military installation. Would the collective mind have targeted it? Bain asked. "Probably not immediately," Marcus replied. "They'd focus on obvious military and government targets first." Nexus's crystalline form pulsed with light. "If we could reach this Arecibo facility, could you operate it?" Marcus nodded. "I helped design the quantum enhancement systems. I know that array better than anyone." "Then we have a plan," Zara said. "But we'll need to move quickly and carefully. The collective mind's agents will be watching for any unusual activity." Over the next several hours, the group planned their assault on Earth. It wouldn't be easy. They would need to infiltrate the planet's defenses, reach the Arecibo array, and modify the equipment to transmit Nexus's countervirus, all while avoiding detection by an unknown number of enemy agents. "There's something else," Nexus said as they finalized the plan. The countervirus transmission will require enormous power, more than the array can generate on its own. "How much power?" Marcus asked. "Approximately 10 times the facility's maximum output." Marcus thought for a moment. What if we linked multiple power sources? The array is connected to the main electrical grid, and there are several fusion reactors within 50 kilometers. "That might work," Nexus agreed. "But coordinating such a massive power surge while maintaining signal coherence will be extremely difficult." "Human engineering specializes in difficult," Marcus said with a grin dot as they prepared for departure. Marcus found himself alone with Zara in the ship's control chamber. "I have to ask," he said. "Why me?" "You could have contacted Earth's governments, its military leaders. Why choose a mining engineer?" Zara was quiet for a moment, her fingers dancing over the organic control surfaces. "Because governments and military leaders think in terms of politics and war. But the collective mind isn't a political enemy or a military threat. It's a force of nature, like a storm or an earthquake. You don't defeat it through politics or warfare. Then how do you defeat it? Through ingenuity, through the willingness to try impossible solutions, through the kind of thinking that turns a mining engineer into a hero." Marcus felt heat rise in his cheeks. "I'm not a hero, Zara. I'm just someone who is in the right place at the right time." "That's exactly what a hero is," she replied with a smile. Their ship departed Haven Station, along with 2 others, a small fleet of unlikely allies heading toward Earth. As they flew through the void, Marcus watched the blue-green world growing larger on the view screen. "It's beautiful," Zara observed. "It's home," Marcus said simply. "Tell me about it," she requested. "About humanity." Marcus thought for a moment. We're not the strongest species in the galaxy, or the smartest, or the most advanced. But we have something that I think sets us apart. What's that? Stubbornness. When the universe tells us something is impossible, our first instinct is to prove it wrong. We've been doing it for thousands of years, from the first human who looked at the ocean and decided to cross it, to the ones who looked at the stars and decided to reach them. And now you're looking at the collective mind and deciding to defeat them. Exactly. They might be ancient and powerful, but they've made one critical mistake. Which is, Marcus smiled, they've threatened humanity. And history has shown that's never a good idea. As Earth grew larger on the view screen, Marcus could see the lights of cities twinkling on the night side of the planet. Somewhere down there, billions of people were going about their daily lives, unaware that their entire civilization hung in the balance. But Marcus had faith. Humans had faced extinction before and survived. They had overcome impossible odds through determination, ingenuity, and the refusal to give up. This would be no different. The ship entered Earth's atmosphere, its hull shimmering as it passed through the upper layers of air. Marcus felt the familiar tug of his home planet's gravity and knew that whatever happened next, he was exactly where he needed to be. The final battle for humanity was about to begin. Earth's surface rushed up to meet them as Zara's ship descended through the atmosphere. Marcus watched familiar landmarks appear on the view screen. The curve of the Caribbean islands, the distinctive shape of Puerto Rico, and finally the massive dish of the rebuilt Arecibo array nestled in the island's mountainous interior. Landing in stealth mode, Zara announced as her ship's hull shifted to match the surrounding environment, becoming nearly invisible against the tropical vegetation. They touched down in a clearing 2 kilometers from the array, hidden by the dense canopy of the El Yunque rainforest. As they disembarked, Marcus breathed deeply, savoring the familiar sense of his home world, rich earth, flowering plants, and the salt tongue of the nearby ocean. "How long until the Omega signal arrives?" he asked. Nexus's crystalline form flickered as he consulted internal chronometers. 37 hours and 42 minutes. Then we'd better move fast. The group made their way through the forest, using paths that Marcus remembered from his college days when he had worked as an intern at the original Arecibo facility. The rebuilt array was even more impressive than its predecessor, its 1,000-meter dish gleaming in the afternoon sunlight. "There," Marcus pointed to a maintenance entrance on the facility's eastern side. "That's our way in." But as they approached, Thane held up a hand for silence. "Motion sensors," he whispered. "Someone's in there." Through the facility's windows, they could see figures moving inside. But something was wrong with the way they moved. Too precise, too coordinated. "Collective mind agents," Zara said grimly. "How many?" Marcus asked. Thane closed his eyes, his metallic skin glowing faintly as he extended his senses. 8, maybe 9. They're not trying to hide their presence. They're confident, Nexus observed. They believe they've already won. Marcus studied the facility's layout. There's another way in. The primary dish has maintenance platforms suspended. Inside it, if we can reach the dish from above, we can access the control systems without going through the main building. "How do we get up there?" Zara asked. Marcus grinned. "We climb." The next hour was spent in careful preparation. Using equipment from their ships, they fashioned climbing gear and rappelling lines. Marcus felt a thrill of nostalgia as he prepared for the ascent. He had always loved the physical challenge of working on large structures. As the sun began to set, they made their move. The massive dish was supported by cables and towers that offered numerous handholds for experienced climbers. Marcus led the way, his human familiarity with the structure proving invaluable. "This is insane," Thane muttered as they climbed higher into the Korean sky. "Welcome to human problem-solving," Marcus replied. They reached the dish's rim just as darkness fell, the massive structure stretching out below them like a technological crater. Suspended platforms and walkways crisscrossed the interior, providing access to the thousands of receivers and transmitters that made up the array's primary systems. "The quantum enhancement equipment is there," Marcus said, pointing to a central platform surrounded by exotic machinery. "That's where we need to upload Nexus's countervirus." But as they prepared to descend into the dish, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Lights blazed to life, and they could see armed figures pouring out of the main building. "They've detected us," Zara said. "Not necessarily," Marcus replied, studying the activity below. "Look at their movement patterns. They're not searching for intruders. They're setting up defensive positions. They're expecting someone," Thane realized. The answer came minutes later as ships descended from the night sky. Human military vessels, their hulls gleaming with official markings. But something was wrong with the way they flew. Too perfect, too coordinated. "More agents," Nexus said. "They're bringing reinforcements." Marcus felt a surge of anger. The collective mind wasn't just infiltrating human institutions. They were using humanity's own military against them. "Change of plans," he said. "We go." And now, while they're distracted by the arriving ships, they rappelled into the dish, moving quickly from platform to platform toward the central control systems. Marcus's familiarity with the structure allowed them to avoid the main walkways, using maintenance passages and service platforms that wouldn't show up on security sensors. They reached the quantum enhancement platform just as the first of the enemy ships touched down. Marcus immediately began interfacing with the control systems, his fingers flying over displays that responded to his touch. "How long do you need?" Zara asked, keeping watch on the facility below. 20 minutes to reconfigure the array for maximum power output. Then another 10 to integrate Nexus's countervirus with the transmission protocols. "We don't have 30 minutes, Thane said. "They'll find us long before then." Marcus looked at his companions, these aliens who had risked everything to help save humanity. "Then we hold them off." "With what?" Zara asked. "We're not soldiers." "No," Marcus agreed. "But we're engineers, scientists, and free beings who refuse to surrender. Sometimes that's enough." As if summoned by his words, the first enemy agents appeared on the platform below, their weapons scanning the dish's interior. Marcus continued working on the control systems while his companions prepared to defend their position. The battle that followed was unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. Thane's people had weapons that fired beams of coherent energy, while Zara's organic technology seemed to anticipate and counter the enemy's attacks. Nexus provided tactical coordination, his crystalline form processing information faster than any computer dot, but the enemy kept coming. More agents poured into the dish, their weapons filling the air with deadly energy. Marcus worked frantically on the control systems, trying to complete the modifications while chaos erupted around him. "How much longer?" Zara called out as she ducked behind a support beam. 15 minutes, Marcus replied. "The power grid integration is more complex than I anticipated." "We don't have 15 minutes. Thane shouted back. That's when Marcus remembered something from his engineering training. The fusion reactors. If we can't integrate them through software, we'll do it through hardware. "What do you mean?" Nexus asked. "We bypass the grid entirely. Route power directly from the reactors to the array through temporary conduits." "That's incredibly dangerous," Zara protested. "If the power surge isn't properly regulated, the array will overload and probably explode," Marcus finished. "But it might work long enough to transmit the countervirus." "Might?" Thane asked. Marcus grinned, despite the deadly situation. "Like I said, welcome to human problem-solving." As enemy agents closed in on their position, Marcus made the final connections that would link the Arecibo array to every fusion reactor within 50 kilometers. Power levels began climbing toward dangerous levels, but the array's transmission capability increased exponentially. "Ready?" he announced. "Nexus, upload your countervirus." The crystalline being interfaced directly with the array's systems, his consciousness flowing into the quantum enhancement equipment. The countervirus began propagating through the transmission protocols, preparing for the moment when the Omega signal would arrive. But their victory was short-lived. Enemy agents had reached their platform, weapons trained on the group. Marcus looked up from the control systems to find himself staring down the barrel of an energy rifle. "Step away from the controls," the agent commanded in a voice that sounded human but felt wrong. Marcus slowly raised his hands. They had come so close, but it seemed they had run out of time. That's when the sky exploded with light. The brilliant flash that lit up the night sky came from ships descending through Earth's atmosphere. But these weren't more collective mind vessels. Marcus recognized the distinctive energy signatures of ships from Haven Station. "The cavalry has arrived," Thane said with relief. The alien reinforcements struck the facility with precision, their weapons targeting the collective mind agents while carefully avoiding the critical array systems. The agent threatening Marcus spun away as an energy beam struck him, his synthetic body sparking and twitching before going still. "We've got maybe 10 minutes before they regroup," Zara said, checking the tactical situation. "How's the countervirus? Integration coming?" Nexus's crystalline form pulsed with activity. 60% complete. But the power levels are becoming unstable. Human technology was not designed for this kind of energy surge. Marcus looked at the control displays, watching as red warning lights flickered across multiple systems. "The array can handle it, but not for long. When the Omega signal arrives, we'll have maybe 30 seconds to transmit the countervirus before the whole system overloads." 30 seconds to save humanity, Thane observed. No pressure. Outside this dish, the battle continued to rage. Marcus could see the alien defenders holding defensive positions around the facility while collective mind reinforcements poured in from multiple directions. The sky was filled with energy beams and explosions as ships from both sides engaged in aerial combat. "Status report," Marcus called out as he fine-tuned the transmission protocols. "The enemy is bringing in heavy weapons," Zara reported from her position at the platform's edge. "They're willing to destroy the array rather than let us succeed." "How long until the Omega signal arrives?" Marcus asked. Nexus consulted his internal chronometers. 18 minutes and counting. Marcus felt sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool night air. Everything had to be perfect. The power levels, the transmission timing, the countervirus integration. One mistake and billions of people would die. "There," he said finally. "The system is ready. All we need now is the signal." But their moment of triumph was interrupted by a new development. The collective mind forces had brought up a massive weapon, some kind of energy cannon that they were positioning to target the array directly. "They're going to destroy the dish," Thane said grimly. "Not if I can help it," Marcus replied. He began, rapidly typing commands into the control system, redirecting power from the fusion reactors to the array's defensive systems. The massive dish began to move, its 1,000-meter span rotating slowly on its axis. "What are you doing?" Zara asked. "Improvising," Marcus said. "If we can't stop them from firing, maybe we can deflect their shots." A energy cannon fired, sending a beam of destructive force toward the array. But Marcus had timed it perfectly. The dish's reflective surface caught the beam and redirected it back toward the weapon, destroying it in a brilliant explosion. "Impossible," one of the surviving collective mind agents transmitted. "No species has ever used our own weapons against us." "Then you've never met humans," Marcus replied over the communication channel, but their victory was temporary. More enemy forces were converging on the facility, and Marcus could see that their alien allies were being overwhelmed. 10 minutes until the Omega signal, Nexus announced. Marcus looked around at his companions. Zara, the alien woman who had risked everything to warn humanity. Thane, the warrior who had escaped the collective mind's control. Nexus, the artificial being who had chosen freedom over servitude. They had all sacrificed so much to give humanity this chance. Whatever happens, he said, I want you all to know that it's been an honor. The honor is ours, Zara replied. Your species has shown us what it truly means to fight for freedom. The next few minutes passed in a blur of combat and preparation. Enemy agents made repeated attempts to reach the control platform, but each time they were driven back by the combined efforts of the defenders. Marcus monitored the approaching Omega signal, watching as its energy signature grew stronger with each passing second. 5 minutes. Nexus announced that the battle around the array reached a crescendo. Ships crashed into the surrounding mountains, their explosions lighting up the night. Ground forces exchanged fire across the facility's courtyards and corridors. But somehow, impossibly, the array remained intact and operational. 3 minutes. Marcus could feel the tension building in the air itself. The Omega signal was so powerful that its approach was affecting Earth's electromagnetic field, causing aurora-like displays in the night sky. 1 minute. Here it comes, Marcus said, his hands poised over the control systems. The Omega signal struck Earth like an invisible tsunami, washing over the planet's communication networks and digital infrastructure. Marcus watched in horror as systems began failing all across the globe. Power grids went dark, communication networks went silent, and chaos began spreading as the virus infected every connected device. Now, he shouted. Nexus poured his consciousness into the array's transmission systems, releasing the countervirus in a burst of quantum-enhanced energy that raced outward at the speed of light. For 30 seconds, the rebuilt Arecibo array became the most powerful transmitter in human history, broadcasting salvation to a dying world. Then the power surge reached critical levels. Explosions rippled through the quantum enhancement equipment as Marcus threw himself away from the control systems. The 1,000-meter dish began to buckle and warp as energy discharges played across its surface. But it had been enough. Around the globe, the countervirus spread through Earth's networks, neutralizing the Omega signal's effects and restoring human control over their own technology. Cities that had gone dark began to glow again. Communication networks came back online. Humanity had been saved. As the array collapsed around them, Marcus and his companions were rescued by their alien allies. They watched from a safe distance as the massive structure, one of humanity's greatest technological achievements, crumbled into twisted metal and broken concrete. Was it worth it? Zara asked. Marcus looked up at the sky, where the aurora displays were fading as Earth's electromagnetic field returned to normal. In the distance, he could see the lights of San Juan beginning to twinkle again as power was restored. Yes, he said simply. It was worth it.